Classification of rights. Human rights have been classified into civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. These rights have been embodied in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948 and in the International Covenant on Social, Economic, Civil, Political and Cultural Rights 1966. Though they are not binding, but many countries of the world through their constitution and various laws have adopted it. They are as follows. First, civil rights are invaluable privileges without which no citizen can attain his best self. It is guaranteed to all without distinction of caste, creed, religion, etc. They are as follows. A. Right to life. Without security of life, it is not possible to enjoy other rights. It means right to live with a human dignity, that is, right to education, health, livelihood, etc. B. Right against torture. It prohibits torture or cruel, inhuman, or degrading punishment and non-consensual medical and scientific treatment. C. Right against slavery. Slavery in all forms are prohibited. It also prohibits forced labor except in case of criminal punishment or military service. D. Right to liberty and security of persons. It prohibits arbitrary arrest and detention. It emphasizes on fair and speedy trial and free legal aid to those who are unable to hire legal services. It emphasizes that all are equal before courts and cases must be heard before a competent, independent and impartial judiciary, and the judgment must be made public. E. Right to freedom of thought and religion. It established the right to profess, practice and propagate religion of one's own choice, but the state can impose reasonable restrictions on the grounds of public safety, order, morality, etc. F. Right to freedom of movement and residence. Every individual have the freedom of movement and residence within the territory of a state. G. Right to freedom of speech and expression. Everyone has the freedom of speech and expression, but the state can impose reasonable restrictions on grounds of national security, incitement to violence, defamation, etc. H. Right to freedom of association. Everyone has the freedom of association, that is to form and join trade unions, political parties, pressure groups, etc. I. Right to peaceful assembly. Everyone has the right to assemble, but the state can impose reasonable restrictions on the grounds of public safety, public order, morality, etc. J. Protection against arrest and detention. A person who is arrested must be informed of the grounds of arrest, right to consult and be defended by a lawyer, and to be produced before the nearest magistrate within 24 hours of arrest. Second, political rights. Political rights facilitate citizens' participation in the political process of the country. They are as follows. A. Right to vote. It is enjoyed by all the citizens of the state. It is exercised by citizens on the basis of universal adult franchise during periodic elections. B. Right to contest elections. Citizens not only enjoy the right to elect candidates during elections but also contest elections. C. Right to public offices. It means equal opportunities for all citizens to get elected and serve the public. D. Right to redressal. Citizens have the right to express their grievances and their complaints need to be addressed. E. Right to nationality. No person can be arbitrarily deprived of their nationality nor denied the right to change nationality. Third, economic rights. Economic rights are essential to satisfy economic wants and to provide economic security for the people. They are as follows. A. Right to work. Everyone has the right to work in a just and favorable condition and assistance in case of employment. B. Right to rest and leisure. Everyone has the right to rest and leisure, that is, working hours, rest periods, provisions for pastime, periodic holidays, etc. C. Right to equal pay for equal work. Both men and women have the right to equal pay for equal work. Apart from this, right to work must be accompanied with wage. D. Right to minimum standard of living. Everyone has the right to minimum standard of living, that is basic necessities like food, clothing and shelter. E. Right to form and join trade unions. Everyone has the right to form and join trade unions for the protection of their economic and social interest. D. Right to strike. All workers through trade unions have the right to strike as per the laws of the country to fulfill their demands and resolve their grievances. Fourth, social and cultural rights are essential to live a life of dignity. They are as follows. A. Right to social security. The state must provide maternity benefits, assistance in case of accident, illness, old age, unemployment, etc. B. Right to education. The state must make provision for free and compulsory education for all children. The state must make provision for secondary and higher education, including technical vocations. C. Right to social equality. Social equality means absence of discrimination on the basis of caste, language, sex, etc. That is, for example, racial discrimination in USA and caste discrimination in India. Therefore, India abolished untouchability and practicing it in any form is punishable by law. D. Right to cultural life. Everyone has the right to take part in cultural life, that is, to participate in cultural life, cultural heritage, and cultural expressions, to pursue knowledge and encourage human creativity. Right to protection of authorship interests and intellectual property. E. Right to minorities, the rights of ethnic, religious minorities are upheld. F. Right to protection of mother and child. Children without discrimination need to be protected from harmful influence, abuse, and exploitation, and need to be involved in family, social, and cultural life. Thus, all the above rights can be enjoyed only if the right conditions are created. Every state must work to create such a condition so that everyone can enjoy rights. Thus, we can see that all rights are interdependent and the global community must work together to secure these rights. Fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. The rights guaranteed in the Indian Constitution has a dual purpose. A. Upholding liberal individual rights, and B. Fostering social change. Some of the rights are universal and can be seen in modern constitutions, while other rights are peculiar to socio-economic environment in India. The caste system and the customs denied justice to many that had to be legally remedied. This is possible only through rights. The Constitution guarantees fundamental rights which are as follows. First one, right to equality, Articles 14 to 18. Article 14 guarantees equality before law and equal protection of law. Equality before law means that no one is above the law of the land. It has negative connotation. It means that law does not discriminate on the basis of birth, gender, language, etc. Equal protection of law means equal opportunities to all in similar situations. It has positive connotation. It establishes equality of status and opportunities as embodied in the preamble. Article 15 ensures that there will be no discrimination between citizens on grounds of religious, race, caste, etc. in the distribution of public facilities and resources of the state. Thus, access to shops, theatres, wells, tanks, etc. are open to all, but the state can make special provisions for women, children, and backward classes. Article 16 ensures equality of opportunity in matters of public employment without discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, or sex. But the state is empowered to make reservations in favor of backward classes. Article 17 seeks to abolish untouchability by making its practice in any form punishable by law. Article 18 seeks to abolish all titles except military or academic distinctions. Indian citizens should not accept any title from any foreign state without the consent of the President of India. Indian citizens holding office of profit or trust under the state without the consent of the president cannot accept any present, emolument or office from foreign state. Second, right to freedom, Article 19 to 22. Article 19 makes the liberty operational. The six freedom are as follows. All the citizens have the right: A. to freedom of speech and expression, B. to assemble peacefully and without arms, C. to form associations and unions, D. to move freely throughout the territory of India, E. to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India, F. to acquire, hold and dispose of property. It was deleted by the 44th Amendment 1978. G. to practice any profession or to carry on any occupational, trade or business. This is followed by subclauses which have given restrictions on these rights. Freedom of speech and expression is subject to restriction in the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India, security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, public order, decency or morality, or in relation to contempt of court, defamation, or incitement to an offense. Freedom of assembly should be peaceful without arms, is subject to restrictions in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India or public order. Freedom to form associations and unions cannot be used by any group to enter into any criminal conspiracy or any other dangerous activities in subject to any restrictions in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India, public order or morality. Freedom to move freely and reside and settle in any part of the territory of India is subject to restrictions in the interest of the general public or the protection of interest of any scheduled tribe. Freedom to practice any profession does not prevent the state from prescribing necessary qualification for a profession. The state can enter any trade, business, industry or service and create its own monopoly. Article 20 provides that no person will be charged of any offence except for violation of a law in force at the time of the commission of an act charged as an offence, nor subjected to punishment greater than that prescribed by the law for the offence. No person will be prosecuted and punished for the offence more than once. No person accused of any offence will be compelled to be a witness against himself. Article 21 holds that no person will be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. But this protection is not absolute because law can establish a procedure to take away life and liberty. Right to life means right to a dignified life as per Supreme Court interpretation. Without right to life, other fundamental rights would be meaningless. Article 21A provides for compulsory education to all children between the age of 6 to 14. This was introduced by the 86th Constitutional Amendment in 2002. Article 22 deals with protection against arrest and detention. It is a safeguard against arbitrary executive authority. It is applicable to citizens and non-citizens. It states, A. Every person who is arrested must be informed of the cause or reason of his arrest. B. No person can be denied the right to consult and to be defended by a legal practitioner of his or her choice. C. Every person arrested and detained should be brought before the nearest magistrate within a period of 24 hours and can be kept in custody beyond that period only under the authority of the magistrate. The above 3 points do not apply to A. Any person who is an enemy alien. B. Any person who is arrested or detained under preventive detention. Third, right against exploitation. Article 23(1) provides traffic in human beings, beggar, and other form of forced labor are prohibited, and contravention is an offense and punishable in accordance with law. Certain forms of exploitation existed in India. For example, Devdasi system, as well as traffic in women, children, and crippled for immoral purposes, engaging people in manual and agricultural labor without payment. To prevent such inhuman practices, the above article is essential. But Article 23(2) does not prohibit forced labor that forms part of punishment for criminal offences. Similarly, the state has the authority to enforce compulsory military service or any other form of public service. This is done without any discrimination on grounds of religion, race, class, caste, etc. Article 24 does not allow employment of children below the age of 14 in any factory or mine or engage in any other hazardous employment. The socio-economic conditions drive children to work, so the article embodies health and humanitarian considerations. The Child Labour Act passed in 1986, 2016 and 2017 clearly shows the efforts of the government to improve the conditions of children. Fourth, right to freedom of religion, Article 25 to 28. Article 25(1) upholds freedom of conscience and the right to profess, practice and propagate religion freely, but subject to public order, morality and health. Liberty of belief, faith and worship embodied in the Constitution was put into proper perspective through this article. This freedom cannot be used as a cloak for dangerous practices like child marriage or human sacrifice. Article 25(2) empowers the state to regulate any economic, financial, political, or other secular activity associated with religious practice. The wearing or carrying of kirpans are accepted as part of Sikh religion. The state has the authority to legislate to bring social reform and open Hindu religious institutions to all Hindus. Article 26 upholds every religious denomination subject to public order, morality, and health to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes, to manage its own affairs in matters of religion, to own and acquire movable and immovable property, and to administer it in accordance with law. Article 27 states that the state will not impose any taxes for the promotion or maintenance of any particular religion or religious denomination. Article 28(1) states that no religious instructions will be provided in any educational institutions wholly maintained out of state funds. Article 28(2), the above clause does not apply to educational institutions administered by the state but were established under any endowment or trust. Article 28(3), no person attending any educational institution recognized by the state or receiving aid out of state funds will be required to take part in any religious instructions or religious worship in such institution unless he or she has given consent, and in case of minor, guardian consent is required. Fifth, cultural and educational rights, Article 29 and 30. Article 29(1) provides minorities the right to conserve their distinct language, script, or culture. Article 29(2) states that no citizen will be denied admission to any educational institution maintained by the state or receiving aid out of state funds on grounds of religion, race, caste, language, etc. Article 31 upholds all religious and linguistic minorities have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Article 32 states that while granting of aid to educational institutions, the state will not discriminate on grounds of religion or language. Sixth, right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. A mere declaration of fundamental rights in the Constitution is meaningless without providing an effective machinery for their enforcement if they are violated. Article 32 provides right to move the Supreme Court by appropriate proceedings for the enforcement of rights. The article empowers the Supreme Court to issue writs in the nature of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari for the enforcement of rights. The rights guaranteed will not be suspended except as provided by the Constitution. Thus, the Supreme Court is the defender and guarantor of the fundamental rights of the people. Writs are orders issued by the Supreme Court, Article 32, as well as High Courts, Article 226, to protect the fundamental rights of citizens which may be violated. The types of writs are: first, habeas corpus is a Latin term which means to have the body of a person who has detained another person, to bring the person in custody at a specific time to a specific place. This writ is used to set at liberty a person who is unlawfully detained. This writ does not punish the person who carried out the unlawful detention, but the aggrieved party can proceed against him separately. The writ can be issued against the state, organization, private individual, or public official. Second, mandamus is a Latin word which means we order. This writ can be issued to the subordinate court, officer of the government, or a corporation or institution, commanding them to perform the duty if they have failed to do so. This writ cannot be issued against a private individual. Third, prohibition means to forbid. It's a writ issued by a higher court to a lower court to prevent the lower court from exceeding its jurisdiction. The higher court frames the rules on the basis of which the lower court has to settle the matter. The writ can be issued to a tribunal, magistrate, or officers exercising judicial function. This writ does not apply to the legislature, private individuals, and administrative authorities. Fourth, certiorari is a Latin word which means we certify. It's a writ issued by a higher court to a lower court to prevent the lower court from exceeding its jurisdiction. The matter is then taken to the higher court for review of the case. The writ does not apply to legislature and private individuals, but can be applied against administrative authorities since 1991. Fifth, quo warranto is a Latin word which means by what warrant. This writ is issued by the court to restrain a person from acting in a capacity to which he is not entitled. This is to prevent a public officer from taking any position in an office which does not belong to him. This writ does not apply to private office.